Well, thanks for having me here and be your first guest speaker for the year. My name is Megan Yang, and I'm here to talk to you about building Axiom Station. And you can hear me pretty well. Great. All right. Hey, so I am from Taiwan, the land of bubble tea and night markets. If you've ever been, that's a picture of Taipei 101. My family moved to Tennessee when I was in middle school, and I went to University of Tennessee, Knoxville, for chemical engineering, and moved to Texas and worked in energy and chemicals for about 7 years, and then made the jump to work at Axiom Space about a little over 3 years ago. And now I am the Water Systems Group Lead. So Axiom have a vision to build a thriving home in space that benefits every human everywhere. And our mission is to improve life on Earth and foster possibilities beyond it by building and operating the world's first commercial space station. So there are three phases to making that a reality. The first phase is through sending our private astronaut missions. Greg kind of mentioned that we just launched our third mission on Thursday. And this morning, actually, they successfully docked to Dragon Endurance. And I think it was about like 5:45 a.m. I was asleep, but it all went well. And the second phase is building the Axiom station well connected to the ISS. We were very fortunate to be selected to connect to Node 2 on the ISS and kind of building out our station with the foundation that's already there with the ISS. And for phase three, eventually we'll want to detach from the ISS and operate independently. So talking more about the phase one private astronaut missions, we call those PAM missions. And the photo, you can't see the rest of the crew, but you can see our captain, AX1 captain, MLA. They're strapped in the Dragon capsule ready for the first AX1 launch. I have a little video here. Almost in scientific research, for meaningful science while still taking the time to communicate on the impact and application of that research. This is really the opening of a new era where it's not just our national last 60 years. When you start to dig into it, microgravity is a very unique environment research and experiments. Just the whole experience looking out of cupola was beautiful, amazing, emotional. אנחנו עפים מעל כדור הארץ במהירות עצומה, וכל 45 דקות יש לו צריכה או שנייה, ורואים כדור מדהים. It's been an amazing experience. This will be something that we can share with humanity. After 17 total days in space, 15 of them aboard the ISS, we are in the final phase of a journey that has covered more than 240 orbits and 6.3 million miles. It's our first view of Dragon Endeavour re-entering the Earth's atmosphere with the Axiom crew. The Dragon capsule has splashed out. Crew bids one, well done. So yeah, with the first PAM mission, we were able to not only kind of working out the kinks of figuring out how we're going to run our mission control, Axiom Missions Controls Center, coordinating with SpaceX and NASA to just making sure the mission goes successfully. We were also able to expand the science that we can do on the ISS and making it more accessible for private funded science opportunities there. So, and just more highlights here from what we were able to accomplish for AX1. It was the very first all private astronaut crew, 17 days on the ISS. There were 5 languages spoken, 25 payloads, and 100 plus hours of research that were done, 30 STEM outreach events, and they brought up paella. I'm probably butchering it. It's a Spanish dish. It's actually delicious. Try it out if you haven't. And a piano duet, which is just really cool. Right, and then on May 21st last year, we launched AX2 mission with Peggy Wisson as our captain for AX2 crew, and with John Schaffner, who's also from Tennessee, really cool, and 2 Saudi astronauts that joined the AX2 crew. Have another video.
Today, we stand on the threshold of a remarkable journey thanks to your unwavering spirit to explore beyond our home planet. And with that, let's keep the work and build some history together.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engines full power. And let's go. Together we expand what is possible for Earth forces at Astra and Godspeed AX.
And this is Starting Freedom up here with a new crew on orbit. And I'm really excited about returning to space, but even more excited about welcoming 3 new astronauts.
I wish we had more words than just amazing, fantastic, awesome, all those things, because they fall short.
تم إجراء وإنجاز جميع التجارب العلمية والأبحاث المنوطة في هذه الرحلة بنجاح ولله الحمد. إن شاء الله نسأل الله أن تعود علينا بالنفع في المستقبل.
On behalf of the Expedition 69 crew, it's been an honor to share the ISS with the Axiom 2 crew. We're going to miss them. We wish them Godspeed tomorrow. Thank you guys for a fun week.
Every story comes to an end, and this is only the beginning of a new era.
Yeah, and so this is a picture of Rihanna doing one of the cool science, with DNA research, and just a lot more science that was available to be done with these PAM missions. So highlights for AX2, we have private and national crew, first Saudi female astronaut, 8 days on the ISS, 20 STEM outreach events, DNA nanotherapeutics and stem cell research, and 8 media events. Yeah. And unfortunately, I don't have any slides for AX3 because it's just so recent, and it would make the presentation even bigger to have unedited videos. But if you want to see more about AX3, go to YouTube. We have a Axiom Space channel. Subscribe. You'll see some cool videos from earlier this week. It was a really beautiful day and clear launch video that from Thursday. So, all right. So going to phase 2, building the Axiom station. This is kind of a high level, 2,000 kilometer high plan for assembling the Axiom station. So our plan is to launch these modules separately and having the first module connect to the ISS and kind of assembling it as we launch up more and more of these modules. And I have a little clip here too, but just kind of laying it out. The first 2 modules we're planning on are the 2 habitation modules that will be able to support 4 crew each. So it will be 8 total and some research capability built in for each of those modules. And then the third one is just purely for payloads and research, manufacturing. And for AXPTM, that one is power thermal module. So that's kind of the key piece that we need to be able to run independently, because prior to that, we're kind of relying on our contract with NASA to be able to take, power and other resources to be able to run our side of the station. Yeah, so here's a little clip for how it's gonna assemble. The arm's not actually gonna move that fast in reality. Yeah, just gonna. Boop. Yeah, so that's gonna be our cupola. Just more room to kind of observe the Earth. So yeah. Right. So this is where I'm gonna take audience participation. So what would we need to have for a space station?
Pressurizable volume, water, air,
Yes.
electricity would be nice.
Yes.
Heating also.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, heating's very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Food, yes. Yeah. What else? Oh. Yes, restroom. That's actually one of the most asked questions we get. It's like, okay, cool. Well, those are all great answers. So all those are kind of categorized in one of these bubbles. These are our departments for the station program. Kind of picture we're trying to build a house where it's kind of floating on lava, and sometimes the outside also turns into, ice age. So the structures team are kind of designing the house frame, the foundations, the walls to try to make sure you have that pressurized space that we can keep people from the outside scary environment. Avionics is where we get the power, the electricity, and also controls for anything that we want to be able to control from Earth. The guidance and navigation control, make sure we don't lose our station. Crew systems is kind of like having, furniture, rooms, and the docking adapter is kind of like, we have our house that's floating in lava. If we want to visit our neighbors, we kind of need to have a tube that, one side fits with our door, the other side fits with their door. And then last but not least, I'm probably a little biased, the most important one, environmental control and life support system. Everything else that makes it possible for humans to be able to live on the station. So the water, cleaning up the air, and monitor the pressure inside the module. And so kind of going into more detail, to be able to design the station, to be able to support humans living on the station, we need to understand the physiology of, what are the inputs and outputs of a human. Luckily, we have 20 years of, more than 20 years of experience supporting life in low Earth orbit and getting that information from NASA's research. So this is a screenshot from the BVAD of kind of like your average 180-pound astronaut. What are the inputs and outputs that's needed to keep him alive? The one caveat of like what our design team is looking at is, with the astronauts, the professional ones, they tend to be more fit. There are requirements of how physically fit you are and kind of your health conditions and that kind of things. Our vision is that it will be open to not just professional astronauts. Our private astronaut crews won't be quite the very fit, only from this height to this height average human. So we are looking, when we're doing the design, we're looking at all the way down to the smallest, like 5th percentile human, all the way to the 99th percentile human. So it's a bigger range, but that also is more challenging as well to be able to accommodate that wider range of people to be able to do that. So, okay. So another piece I kind of alluded to be able to accommodate people being able to live in this house that's floating on lava, and we're designing to make sure that they're able to live there comfortably. Like if we're designing, the shelves, like how high are they? We kind of have to look at, okay, what are the fifth percentile people, 99 percentile people? What are their reach? How big are their hands? How are they going to be maintaining and operating the equipment that's on the station? So kind of have screenshots of kind of the 5th percentile to 99 percentile, or kind of have to consider the whole full range of what the dimensions of people, and making sure that when we're designing and placing like restraints in places, does it make sense? Can they actually reach it, or are they going to be stuck floating somewhere and not be able to find the wall, right? Okay. And I have printouts actually. This is a group activity. Actually, do you want to grab yours? Yeah. So I have printouts of handprints. I really skipped this slide. I have handprints of 5th percentile, 50th percentile, and 99 percentile. I want you to take a guess of how big your hands are. Take the sheet and then compare and let me know what you find. Oh, actually, I need to grab mine too. All right, so I can. Oh, no cheating. It's okay. Can I grab?
That's a little tiny hand.
Yeah, that's actually mine. So, as that's going around, I'll keep going. But so this is just an example of a 5th percentile female hand. And so looking at that, I'm actually right about there with the fifth percentile female hand length. But some of the consideration, actually, if you measure my hand length width here, I'm actually about more like 50th percentile, but my length is more fifth percentile. So everyone's a little different. You're never going to be fitting exactly to a mold there, but that also is what makes it really challenging for us if we want to accommodate and design so that everyone is able to use the station comfortably. So that's why human factors is actually one of the most like important and complex things that we have to consider as we design all our hardware. Because if we design something, even though they don't have to really worry about it, but if it breaks, like someone's gonna have to go back there in the utilities closet and to try and fix it, right? But if it's impossible to, then we have a problem. It's kind of hard to just dissect the station while it's already in orbit. So cool. So while that's going on around, we'll keep going. Okay. So just kind of a quick update on where we are with the first module. So in Italy, we have the first structure, the primary structure being fabricated right there, and just some cool pictures to show, and kind of like you can see the scale of how big it is next to a person. I think so. Yeah. Yeah, they have experience making
they also
the pressure cells.
made nanoracks with airlock.
Oh, okay.
So that was the phase 2. And then for phase 3, so
they're actually in the process of making the first module.
yes.
Right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and our plans are to launch by 2026.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's happening. It's very exciting. And all the PM missions, all that are just us also like being able to prepare for that launch, right? So being able to plan out missions, be able to communicate to ISS, and working out the kinks with our mission control center, and and we also have our station program team designing all the the bubbles that I talked about, all the pieces that make up the house. Oh, go ahead.
You know, with the AX3, the X1 is more
Mm-hmm. Yeah, X3 will also have research and science, and it's all European crew too. So it's kind of cool to see just more countries sending their astronauts to participate with our PAM missions. So the very last step is, as much as we want ISS to stay there forever, there are plans to decommission it like 2030, 2031 right now. So we can't, Axiom can't just plan on being connected to ISS indefinitely. So we have to design our station to be able to detach and become a free flyer by latest 2030. I think we.
Is there a projected lifespan? How long has been projected to be in orbit?
For Axiom station,
Let's say you go into action in 2031, will it still be viable in 2040?
For Axiom Station, yes.
So
Yeah.
Is there a deadline? Like, it won't be operational after 2050?
Well, so we have to put a life on all the equipment for a design, right? So I think most of our designs were saying it needs to be able to handle 20 to 30 for things that are not replaceable. For things that are replaceable, then that's a different
10 years, 20 years?
20 to 30 years.
20 to 30.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, no problem. And I mean, we want to be able to run Axiom Station indefinitely, right? So that's why it's built with modules. And so as, 30 years later, the H1 module, we did an evaluation. Everything's getting too old. We have to decommission it. We could just detach the H1 module and keep the rest of the station. Right. Yeah.
I didn't catch on yours.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, and so with part of the being able to run independently, we also have our suits program that will enable us to run as a independent space station. So having LEO spacesuits will allow us to do our plan out and do our own EVA maintenance activities, making sure our station can continue to function after we detach from the ISS. I think I have another video after this, but yeah, this is just a breakdown of what the Axiom spacesuit right now is being planned to look like, and we actually have a Build-A-Bear, Gigi, that has that's rocking out this Axiom spacesuit prototype right now. So very cute. Yeah, this is the video.
Axiom team was very excited when we learned that we got that contract. To know that we're going to be a part of getting mankind back to the moon is really exciting.
They were developed already. Originally, we developed for the space shuttle, the International Space Station today, but if you want to go back to the moon, then we do space.
Basic design has been really evolutionary for decades, and we're kind of taking a larger leap. We're changing it so it's powering so that you can walk more distances. Help if your fellow crew members incapacitated and the ability to bring them back with you. So all these updates are more of a revolution than an evolution. I'm excited by the really new developments in technology that have been added in, and I think it's going to be great. There's an unbelievable amount of effort from seamstresses to requirement specialists to engineers, managers, have a range of skill sets, and everyone is so proud to be doing what they're doing.
It's more than just all work and words and everywhere. You definitely do it. Right? Like, that is an opinion, and I don't know.
Space is changing so fast right now, and it's going to be a great time to want to get into any aspect of the space program. whether, as an engineer, a designer, an astronaut, somebody, stepping foot on another planet.
That cut off kind of middle. Okay. And that's all I have. You guys have any questions?
If you're going to ask a question, just raise your hand so I get the mic too, so that the people online can hear.
I know that NASA basically put a hold on having any kind of experiments on the ISS except biology experiments. Will Axiom be able to allow investigators to do chemistry and physics experiments? Chemistry experiments being probably the more critical one because you don't want to mess with the life support system.
Right. I think so. We right now with PAM missions, we are utilizing the ISS laboratory space. So the restrictions will likely have to apply to ours. It just depends on what experiments we're talking about and getting that approved. I think, that restriction probably will be applied to ours likely.
I know that we have some non-biological experiments on the ISS now, like the Cold Atom Lab, and then also they have like this combustions laboratory that they have, as well as kind of making what is it? Not composites. What do you call it when they're alloys? Where they're mixing alloys
Yeah, I remember
together.
that one.
So there are some non-biological experiments being done on ISS now.
Yeah, I think it just needs to be approved, like you said, making sure that it's not going to mess with their ecosystem.
Cyanide in the processing chemicals.
Right.
That would probably be a kind of a no-no if that got loose on the station.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Oh.
If NASA really doesn't come up with anything better than just dumping the ISS into the ocean, do you have contingency plans? I mean, for instance, there's a lot of fairly new stuff on ISS, like some of those nice new solar cells. You could just go and snag those. Do you have any plans to, do some midnight raids?
That's been, well, not like raids, but it's definitely been discussed. We're gonna have some negotiation with NASA for sure. Just like, how much stuff can we keep?
You want to put some extra modules up there just to store some stuff.
Right. So.
The water and the air recycling people don't get enough respect from folks. This is an extremely important thing. And so what kind of closure rate are you trying to achieve on the water cycle?
Yeah, so we have a lot of experience to lean on for ISS. So baseline, not works, right? So with water, I think we can get at least 95%, especially good. With the brine processor that's been running successfully on station now. We should be able to utilize that as well.
Okay. Do you utilize technologies like from the military? Like I'm thinking Navy submarines, basically. They have to deal to a certain extent with the same issues, recycling of air, recycling of water, and it's true that you can produce your own oxygen with a nuclear reactor, but there's that nasty problem of carbon dioxide buildup and it's the other things, the esters, the alcohols, the alkyls and all those other molecules. Do you know anything about how that stuff is scavenged out of the air and what happens to it once it's scavenged?
I think for subs, they're also utilizing, electrolyzers, breaking up water molecules to get oxygen and hydrogen. So we can use the same technology. of course, the sub, water is more accessible. So, right. So it's a little easier supply of water to be able to generate oxygen from. So.
What about the filtering system? Filtering system. How do you deal with stuff that humans exude? They give off waste products, and it has to be collected, or else the air becomes choking, unbreathable.
Yeah. Especially with how much gas comes out of a person. Exactly. So we have an air revitalization group that's dealing with that. So a lot of it would be like granular activated carbon beds that does the filtering of like the VOCs, organic carbons. That will take care of kind of the bulk of the large contaminants. And I'm in the water group, so there's gonna I think most of that would be through absorbents to kind of grab the contaminants out of the air.
Yeah, in regard to the water, filtering, essentially filtering water.
Yes.
So, stuff out of water and getting up the filter. At some point, you gotta do something with all those.
Right. Yeah, unfortunately, we're still using consumables, so there's some cost to having to fly up new filters, fly up new absorbents to be able to like filter the stuff out of the air, filter the stuff out of the water to be able to continue to breathe, continue to have good, clean water to use. But with cost-wise, you're still saving a whole lot more money by having a closed loop system in the station rather than having to fly up clean water and clean air. So,
one question.
yeah.
Thank you. I am excited that you are talking about and bringing in human factors. I love human factors. And I'm wondering, since such a small percentage of the population has been going to space already, what is being done to take into account in the human factors area underrepresented minorities, if that even is being put into question?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. So that's actually one of the really cool things I love about working at Axiom is I get to, as someone with, very small hands, I get to participate in these design evaluations of, hey, we just designed a store. Can we have this range of people come and try to use it and just give them feedback on, is it actually usable? Can a short people with small hands actually be able to?
Well, I get it.
Right. and also the opposite end, right? Like, can the gigantic people use it easily and not have extra strain on their body being able to use what we're designing and putting on the station.
So you're trying them out on Earth? Like that with everyone? That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So cool. Yeah, we have people that are, as we mature a design, we just, hey, can we have the 5th percentile, 50th percentile, 99th percentile people come and try it out, give us some feedback, and we'll fix our design if it doesn't work. And it's actually more representative to kind of how our population of like the crew might actually look like further down the road versus, we also have access to so Peggy and MLA are actually super awesome, hands-on with the design team. They've come and checked out our designs before, given us good feedback, and just being able to have access and ask so how do you drink water on station, right? Like being able to ask questions that seem kind of obvious. We don't really think about that. Like, how do we do that on Earth? But with microgravity, is it different? Do you have to do something differently versus here? That the design team really needs to think about to be able to come up with a good solution for them.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. My question is, what is the difference in technology for the spacesuits to allow them to be used in like the harsh dust in space? What is the difference that you guys are
Between
doing?
like a Leo suit and a lunar suit?
Yeah.
Yeah, as you alluded to, like, the lunar suit will have to be like more robust to be able to handle the dust, and also like it's not much gravity compared to Earth, but there is still gravity on the moon. So a lunar suit will need to be able to handle like the weight and like kind of more structurally sound for like the pant legs area to be able to like walk, versus like in a Leo suit you kind of just float, right? So there's more structural differences to how you would construct that suit versus the other two. I know there's, actually, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, so I'll stop myself before I get in trouble with marketing.
Thank you.
I think he had a question too. If I remember. Are you only recruiting from engineering, people with an engineering background, or do you also include other STEM fields?
Yeah, so great question. And kind of like what Nathan alluded to, space is for everyone. We're not just hiring engineers, we hire technicians, people that help us build test rigs, pipe fitters, machinists. We have seamstresses. We have people that are just super creative and know how to draw.
What?
For the right now, the ticket is really expensive. So it's mostly so either the kind of former professional astronauts that we're flying up with our PM missions, or from the partner countries that they're sending their astronauts.
Basically, you have to be vetted by NASA, have experience, or are the people who are funding your project?
Yeah, for now, we're going through the same training that, well, I don't know if it's exactly the same, not sure, but they are going through astronaut training at the Johnson Space Center.
I don't know how much I can add, but what are the challenges that you're facing? Where are you stuck? Like, dealing with this problem, you don't know, you need more help. Can you list any of those problems?
The problems of like design, or with, okay.
Anything that whatever you can.
Yeah, so building a station is hard. Yeah. So there are definitely a lot of challenges. We can probably spend hours to listing out all the challenges. So, thinking through human factors, definitely one. We can, have our designers make something and we're like, this is great. And then we evaluate it and like, this is crap. Not everyone can use it, right? So that we kind of have to go back to the drawing board, making sure that we design it with, that's more usable. There's also challenges of like just the big range of like, even just for providing water, right? There's a big range of how much water we have to recycle from a person that's 5th percentile size versus 99 percentile size, right? So like designing our pumps, our hardware to be able to handle that big range of rates and be, and still keep up with reliability, right? Like we don't want to run outside of our pump curve all the time and then it breaks in like 5 years and then oh wait, wasn't it supposed to last 20 years, right? So there are lots of challenges there just for the kind of bigger scope of humans we would like to use our station.
How closely are you able to follow what's going on with the Chinese space station? Because that's a lot newer. And for example, I mean, my understanding is they're being much more aggressive about agriculture, and growing plants and that sort of stuff, which has, in terms of sustainability, and they'll have a much lower cost. You could do the same thing. But how much of that do you really have access to?
As far as I know, we haven't looked at that. So I don't know if it's an access thing or we're more just, hey, we're getting most of our experience and advice from NASA.
Even just what they publish.
Right. Yeah. But that's a good suggestion. Maybe we need to, for like HAP 2 and beyond, look into how do we incorporate that to make it even cheaper.
Yeah, and their system is, it's smaller. It's like more like the Axiom kind of size.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is, people in this country have tended to kind of dismiss it as, oh, it's just small and it's probably just all derivative technology. I'm not sure that's completely true anymore. In particular, I've seen a lot of rumblings about what they're really trying to do in terms of along the other side of bioregenerative kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure how willing they're sharing with technologies with us if we're not willing to share with them too. That's probably another factor.
There is a question online. There is a question online that kind of ties right into that. David asks, or points out that ECLIS is responsible for a large percentage of maintenance on the ISS.
Mm-hmm.
Is Axiom doing anything different that would make it require less maintenance?
I think, and mostly I could talk about my group. We are trying to take the lessons learned from NASA. So, for example, controlling microbiology, the microbes like growing in the water and like kind of biofilm formation prevention, thinking through like how do we keep the water clean and our pipes clean, so that our equipment stays running reliably without having to worry about, things breaking down because of biofilm formation that's clogging up the system. So those are part of that design consideration, to kind of like make it so that things are breaking less, so less maintenance from that. But yeah, that's a great question. Just as far as I know, we're still probably the group that spends the most money right now. So likely for H1, we're looking pretty close to like what we have with ISS, but there's definitely plans to look at what are some of the improvement, next generation technologies we can put on for our future modules.
And Barbara online asked, has the U.S. ever sent a non-military, non-college grad into space? And I mean, as far as I know, like for the current astronaut selection criteria, you have to actually have a graduate degree. So
yeah.
But I was wondering if you had any insight into the astronaut selection process.
For NASA, I think I have not heard of anyone that was selected as a professional astronaut without an undergrad, at least. And I think they're really strict too. Like, I think there's a height limit of like, you have to be like 5'2", between 5'2" to 6'2" or something like that. So it's still very strict to become a professional astronaut, but there's no age limit, is what I heard. So,
well, plumbers in space, Barbara says. So maybe that's the eventual thing. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I'm hoping that we'll send plumbers up so I can volunteer.
I was under the impression that Blue Origin passengers, they really have no restrictions on basically going on a suborbital flight. I mean, William Shatner's experience as a professional test pilot is 0, and as far as being an astronaut, yeah.
Oh, hold on a second.
Well, yeah, the short timers, there are really no requirements. In fact, Blue Origin is really, they push the boundaries. I mean, they put somebody up who was 90 years old. Yeah, Shatner. I mean, NASA wouldn't have got around to doing that for another 20 years. At the pace they're going.
But
and they put someone up who had a leg implant. Again, NASA wouldn't accept anybody less than super fit condition, ready to go out there on the World Wrestling Federation floor and duke it out.
But
I mean, so.
But that's space tourism. What Action is doing is not space tourism. They're actually working up there doing research. They have to live there for a while, so they have to be very healthy, very fit.
Mm. I think our selection process will be more lax than NASA's, but yeah, I think for going private is definitely going to open the doors for the less fit people, and that's why we're looking at the 5th to 99th percentile people, right?
If you're a high net worth individual,
yes,
the phrase that's in use now. If you have that, then the rules will get much more flexible. Are you guys?
I think it's going to be in the beginning. Because, right now, I mean, just with our contract with SpaceX, we have to shell out millions to them. So each ticket is going to be very expensive. So it will be more, like you said, the high net worth people in the beginning. And then as, we become, better, more efficient at, building, bigger crew launch vehicles. Right now, there's only 4 seats, right? Like supply and demand. It's going to be very expensive, but as we get better at, sending more people up, and it'll get cheaper, and hopefully, eventually, the common people will be able to use it. It's kind of like planes and cars, right? You kind of start with the richer people first.
So a question online, Gary asked, any guess on when Axiom might become profitable? Or are you already profitable?
We're definitely not profitable right now. And the guess would be once our first module is up there.
Okay.
Yes.
So what's the next this time of, I was looking at all the people who sort of participated in your missions, and I see a significant number of universities, and then a couple of big companies whose names I would recognize, like Lockheed and stuff. But then there's another layer in there of companies, of names and logos that I do not recognize at all. So how would you characterize that between small startup space companies versus universities, large universities, small universities, putting experiments up or wanting to go into the Axiom mission and doing the experiments?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually don't have a lot of insight to how the experiments are selected. I would guess that the crew themselves are very involved in selecting what research they would like to see done on the station. So that some of the smaller ones might be the ones that they either know personally and are very interested in their research for, and that's how they got in. That's at least my guess. I actually don't know like how exactly the partnership of the research themselves got selected.
Small stake in it. So it's going to be something like that where you can buy your own stock.
I know that they do have little programs. It's like there are sort of cheap scientific experiments that will go to the nanoracks with setting up. I mean, actually, high school groups could afford to send something up into space. But then beyond that, there would be university level projects that would take years to do or 2 years, and they would be a little more costly. And then beyond that would be corporate. And the other thing would be corporate experiments that are not basic research, but for profit. Is there any interest? has Axiom discovered any interest by potential space companies that want to make money in space?
That's definitely one of the goals, is that once, the modules, we have more and more manufacturing space, that if a company would like to do DNA splicing and make, make a product, doing it in one of our manufacturing space, they can, and they can make a bulk and then send it back, and that kind of, yeah.
Protein crystals
Yeah.
for cancer, but I'm really interested in this, a nano material that can stop cannon shells that you can wear, like some real tough armor. I mean, let's do something like that.
Yeah. So first research, once we figured out what we can make really efficiently, cheaper in space, I'm sure there's a huge market for actually mass producing them, right? I think for now we're just kind of in the beginning of figuring out, well, it's very expensive to go in orbit to begin with. What can we make that's even more efficient up there than down here that we can make money?
Yeah. You keep on mentioning the 5th percentile to 99th percentile distribution. Is there a reason why it's not symmetrical, say 5th percentile to 90 or to 99th, I should say? Is there a reason why it's not 5th percentile to 95th? Is it the lower tail's longer and so you have more extremes on the low end, or why is it not the same on both sides?
That's a great question. I never questioned that. So, I don't know why we didn't do 5th to 95th.
I can answer that question. I took a human factors course. 5th to 95th percentile is basically, you have to chop it off at some point. A lot of it was based on the military, the ability to, how big of a rifle, how heavy of a backpack can you carry, and really importantly is what size person, what maximum size can fit in an aircraft cockpit. There is a very real possibility you have to not be any taller than 5'9" or 5'11" or something for the Air Force. Because if you're sitting in that cockpit and you have to eject, you have two choices. You've got to have your rear end down on that metal seat solid before you pull the ejection lever, because that seat goes from 0 to 200 miles an hour in 1/10 of a second. You better have your rear end on that, or the impact of the seat hitting your bottom end is going to crush your spine. So you've got to have, if you're any taller than that, you've got to get back in the seat, down on it, pull the plug, and then all you're going to have to worry about is spinal injuries when they pick you up. If you're taller than that, your knees are too far forward, and when you eject, it'll chop your kneecaps off. And when you eject, it's that's for the rest of your life. So this was I was told this by a naval aircraft guy, a naval aviator. That was the reason why you see so many of the original astronauts. And the original astronauts were not very tall people. A lot of them were in the 5'4", 5'5" range. And that had to do with that reality of being in a cockpit and being able to get out of it real fast. But there are other issues, working wrenches and doing repairs that are also less dramatic, but
I just wonder why it's less accommodating on the lower end. It's you've got only 1% on the top, 5% there.
Probably military, because of the fact that there weren't many women in the military in World War II, and so that's where the real low end scale comes in. And even guys who were smaller than that, they couldn't carry a backpack. They couldn't pump a backpack if you're a Marine or in the Army. Go ahead, try and pick up 150 pounds of shell when you only weigh 100. It's hard. It's not a good fit for so yeah, they had a real sharp top end. Top end was we can accommodate some guy who looks like a giant. We can, he'll be good. He can carry the machine gun, the rounding automatic rifle, or the bazooka, and all the shells. Talking backwards.
The leg chopping off sounds like a good reason for why we want to we want to make sure we look all the way to the 99. But that's a great question. I'm probably going to go back and ask, like, well, what about the 1%?
So, will the Axiom space station have thrusters powerful enough to do its own station keeping? Or will it be like the ISS, where you periodically have a cargo spaceship actually provide the boosts, the reboosts?
I think eventually we'll want to be able to do our own, like without the reboost.
Oh, so you are
But
going to depend on some outside ships.
originally, I mean, not original. In the beginning, we're gonna be relying on the ISS a lot, like especially with the first module just being a habitation module.
How much larger will your station be compared to the ISS?
All the way to completion? Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Because I'm worried about space debris, because if you're larger, the risk of space debris hitting your station is higher.
So it's kind of like Legos, right? We're gonna keep building more and more. So there's not really a limit we're stopping at right now, but that's definitely one consideration that would probably we'll probably look at before it gets too big. And yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I even have a guess right now for how many modules we want to launch before we're like, maybe this is too many. Yeah.
Because I was thinking just having the solar panels as a separate station, just transmit the energy somehow.
Oh.
I don't know if that's.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we have a few more comments and questions online. So about the percentages, percentiles. So it says, would it matter that given that weight can fluctuate? I think this is only about hand size, right? This is not
so what I passed out is just hand size, but we're also looking at weight ranges too, of course.
Okay.
But that is less. We're worried about that less for design purposes because like weight, like mass is more important for launch, just like so that we know exactly what we would be like a payload to our launch vehicle. We need to be able to tell them, oh, this is our total mass that we're trying to ship up. So those numbers are more for that, for the design and making sure people can use. Like the weight fluctuation is actually not as important. It's more the length of your arm and like size of your hand. Like how are you actually able to? Do you have enough room to get in and do the maintenance?
Sounds good. Oh, another question. Howden.
Hi. This question, I know it's a little far off in the distance, but do you see Axiom getting involved in, like, say, Project Gateway and Artemis in the future?
I honestly don't know. And even if I know, I don't know if I can tell you. Because that sounds like a strategic, like business strategic thing. So, yeah.
Well, and if y'all have any more questions, Megan, maybe you can stick around for a few minutes and people can ask you. And I want to thank you for coming. So I guess, first of all, a big round of applause. And serendipity is really kind of funny because I was like, what can we give you as a guest speaker? And my wife had some suggestions. And I wasn't like, really, I had some doubts. But after your presentation, I think this would be actually perfect. Gloves.
Nice.
But also, I got you a tumbler. And, that's kind of boring. So we got some space stickers so you can kind of add some gleam to it. I'll get that. So anyway, I'll give you the bag to
thank you so much.
Anyway, thank you again so much for coming and speak with us. And if we could get maybe everybody up here and people online to turn on their cameras, I'd like to just take one group picture if we could. So if everybody online can just turn on their cameras, that would be good. And this is a gallery view. We'll pause this up here. Awesome. And I think I'll just do like the one arm selfie type thing.
Oh,